All right. Hey, zoology. So this is a very quick screencast about anatomical terms for animals with bilateral symmetry. So there will be 12 anatomical terms. And what you will notice, and what I would like you to kind of take note of, is many of the terms are opposites of each other. Okay. What you must do by your next class period is you have to take notes over these 12 terms, all right? On your next class period, so A day students, that would be Thursday. B day students, that would be Friday. I will look at your notes for points. We are going to do a quick activity going over your notes. And then at the end of class, you will take a quiz over these 12 terms. So it's really important that you are going over them and that you bring your notes with you to class. Okay? All right. And again, make sure you pause at any time that if you need to write some stuff down. So this would not be on the quiz. I'm just going to tell you, like when we talk about bilateral symmetry, remember there's a couple of different other types of symmetry animals can have, but most animals fit into this type of symmetry. And these are animals, it says here that animals that have bilateral symmetry are more complex and require anatomical terminologies. So the following slides are these anatomical terms that you must learn. Again, there are 12. All right, so here we go. Here's what I need you to get down in your notes. I would label them as anatomical terms for bilateral symmetry animals. The first four are the following. So I would like to tell you that anterior and posterior are the opposites of each other. And dorsal and ventral are the opposites of each other. And I'm going to show you a picture of these in just a second. Definitely get the definition down. So anterior means towards the head, or it's what meets the environment first. And I will show you an example of that when I see you in class. So kind of we will go over that in class, but make sure you get it's your head for the most part, and posterior is like the tail end. So they are opposites of each other. Dorsal and ventral, again, are opposites of each other. This is the animal's back or its upper surface, and ventral is the belly of the animal or its lower surface. Again, all animals are three-dimensional, so they have all these different surfaces that we have to contend with. Pause the video right now if you didn't get everything, but I'm going to show you an example of all four of these on the next slide. Okay, so pause now if you need to. We're going to continue onward. So if this is a bilateral animal, it's a little fox. And so what you're looking at right now, can you see anterior is the front of the animal that would meet the environment first. So if this guy walked into the room, the first thing you would see is the front of his face, yes. And posterior is the back side, or not really the back side, it's the back portion of the animal. When this animal walks into the room, this would be the last thing that you would see. Okay, so they're on opposite ends of each other. Okay, dorsal and ventral. Dorsal basically is this animal's back side, and ventral, that would be where its belly is. Can you guys see that? Again, like some animals like fish, like sharks specifically, and dolphins, which are mammals, they might have a dorsal fin right here. Oops, sorry. They might have a dorsal fin, and it's called a dorsal fin because it's on the dorsal side of the animal. All right, so those are the first four. Again, dorsal, ventral, opposites of each other. Anterior, posterior, opposites of each other. All right, the next four, and I'm going to go over these in a little bit more detail when I see you next class period, but definitely get down the definitions. Medial, lateral, these are opposites of each other. Medial just means towards the middle of the animal. It's where we make that division of bilateral animals so we can see mirror images. And lateral just means on the side of the animal, so away from the plane or on the animal's side. So again, medial is in the middle, lateral is on their sides. And again, medial says on or near the plane that divides a bilateral animal into mirror images. So that's how we get our mirror images. And lateral is away from that plane that divides the animal into mirror images. So it's on their side. The next two are distal and proximal. And these, here's what I'd write. Again, these are opposites of each other. Can we write right now for both of these? They're opposites of each other, but they only deal with the limbs of animals. So, like the arms, the legs, the fins of animals. And that's what it means by attachment. So, distal is away from the point of the attachment of the structure of a body. So if I'm looking at like a human arm, because that's the only time we can use distal and proximal, distal would be like where your fingers are, because that is up away from your arm, attaches to the base of your body, and your fingers are at the bottom of that, away from it. Whereas proximal would be like your shoulder joint, because it's toward the point of attachments where it actually attaches to the body. Okay. So, one more time, medial and lateral are opposites of each other, and they're dealing with the animal's body. But distal and proximal, also opposites of each other, but please write down they're dealing with the animal's limbs or arms or legs. What is attached to the main body of the animal? Distal is the furthest away, proximal is the closest. If you still need to write all that information down, please do at this time. Pause the video. I'm going to move on to the last four. And the last four, again, oral and aboral, those are opposites of each other. Cephalic and caudal are opposites of each other. And this is just basically locations as to where we are on the animal. So oral means mouth. It's the part of the animal where the mouth is. And ab, whenever you put an A or an ab in front of something, that usually means not. So this is not the mouth. This is the, so it'd be the opposite end of the mouth, i.e. maybe like you could put in parentheses, the anus, okay? So oral is the mouth side, where the mouth is. Aboral, not oral, is the opposite of the mouth, which would basically be your anus, the anus of the animal, all right? Whereas cephalic and caudal, we kind of introduced this word when we talked about bilateral animals anyway. Cephalic is towards your head. That means this animal has a head. So anything towards the head is going to be cephalic, coming towards your head. And caudal just means towards the tail, which is going to be away from your head. All right, and I'll show you some examples of these when I see you next. All right. That's all I got. Thank you very much, and I am excited to see you guys next class period. Make sure you get these notes down.